fifth grade, let's get into your six weeks. Let's look at where you're starting from. You're starting with the 20th century. And what I have done for you and the way I have set this up is on your suggested pacing guide, I've gone along with, if you get in here, I've gone along with your Red Scott Forsman book. And the reason I did that is because, truthfully, as much as we love History Alive and they might have some good activities, the depth of knowledge at this point for the 20th and 21st century is just really not there. So I've set it up for you to follow along, that you would do times of plenty, times of hardship. That's really hitting your Great Depression era, World War II. I know you're going to want to spend a couple days on that. A Dangerous World, Struggle for Equal Rights, and the Cold War continues. And that kind of gets you through the 20th century. So let's look at your standards. You're going to analyze all of these events. You're going to look at industrialization, urbanization, the increased use of oil and gas, our Great Depression, World War II, civil rights, and military actions. Then you're going to look at individual accomplishments of people, and I've gone on ahead and written down here the people that you need to focus on, and I've actually written into that what those people, the important things to know about each one of those people. So that would be something. And I have some examples of some assessments. You know, you might want to have them do a biography, something like that. I had really for your maps 5.6a and 5.6b that you're looking at World War II. And so I have included the maps, the Pacific Theater and the European Theater. And I've included PDFs of those so that you can look at that with your students, and the European Theater on here. We want to talk about the positives and negatives of human modification, and the human modification we're going to talk about leading right into World War II is going to be the atomic bomb and Agent Orange as well. So World War II and a little bit of Vietnam and Agent Orange, and so that they can kind of understand that these are man-made things that could have negative consequences. I have here the impact of American ideas, and we talked about this with a postal tribute to women, and really about women and the changing roles of them in the workforce, as well as that this comes about mainly because of World War II and everything with Rosie the Riveter and how women were called upon during this time. And the truth is, you know, although the 50s were very much a time where, you know, we have all those lovely TV shows like Donna Reed, we really saw women start to 50s and 60s start to branch out, and the freedoms they gained over that World War II, you know, just continued on. Describe the origins and significance of the national celebrations. These are the natural celebrations that we want you to focus on, making sure they know that. They need to know the difference, of course, between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and make sure they understand that. They need to identify past and present leaders, and I have them here, and they would put these kind of in a timeline talking about the correct order that they served. In addition to that, they need to know which ones of these were coming from which political parties, and so that might be something that would be interesting for them. You want to talk about the accomplishments of notable individuals, and the person we're really looking at here, even though the TEKs say all of this, we've touched on most of these people. The one we haven't touched on yet is Neil Armstrong. So they do need to know why Neil Armstrong is important. Identify how scientific discoveries and technological innovations make a difference on our economic development. And I've used a question here that talks about during the space race and how the United States developed NASA, and they invested in better research and education, and the technology that was discovered during this time has been used to create the satellite industry, which today employs more than 576,000 people. Now, this is an example of, and notice I did this question a little bit backwards because we're trying to get them to glance over the big ideas that are actually stated in the TEKs, even more than just the content knowledge. So what I've done is said, this is an example of what, and what they have to give me back is how scientific discoveries and technological innovations have advanced the economic development. They have to understand that verbiage. That's high-level verbiage, but that's what the STAR is going to do. So it's more than just content. It's can they take a situation and apply the overarching big picture and the themes from that. And, of course, explain how scientific discoveries in the field. And I've gotten all the things that have happened in the 20th century that they would need to talk about. For the 6 weeks, we're looking at the 21st century, so let's look at our unit documents. And here I've done, when you look at your unit overview and your suggested pacing guide here, you're going to pull that up. You're going to see that we're talking about conflicts like the War on Terror, politics, and then the future of society, communication, transportation, technology, and medicine. So let's look at your standards. Analyze various issues, 20th century, the War on Terror, and the 2008 presidential election. That is actually in your TEKS. Those are things you want to go on about. They need to know about 2011. You'll find that in your textbook. The presidential election of 2008 will not be there. So that'll be something that's a little bit different. But you know what? There is lots of good information about that out there, so make sure that you have that. I have on here about looking at our current, and I have some activities where you use the census data to look at the changing population in the U.S. in the 21st century. We have an aging population. That's something that's in the news. It's very topical right now, especially as we look at how we deal with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all those things. You know, what do we do when more people are pulling from Social Security? So that's something that you could go into, that these are things that demographically we're making changes because we have better medicine and people are living longer. Also, that goes into that, identify current and present leaders. We have George H.W. Bush, we have Barack Obama, current political leadership in the White House. We also want to put in here George W. Bush, you'll want to go over him. And current political leadership in the House and the Senate. You know, they need to know, who is Boehner? Who are the people who are really helping control the laws and everything that gets passed? And then how scientific discoveries, technology, and so this is a lot about them thinking in the future about what's happening now and what's going to be in there in the future, and we want them to be able to talk about that. We want them to project 20 years in the future. Remember, we are preparing students today for careers that we don't even know exist yet, and they need to start to be on the this needs to be on the forefront of our minds as for our students' minds as they look towards what's the next thing to happen. Because we would have never expected to have iPhones and the things that we have today back when I was in school. So this is something to talk about with our students as well. 5th grade, I want to say you have so much content to get through, and I know you all have powered through on top of STAR to get here. I am so proud to work with you. You have a special place in my heart as a former 5th grade teacher myself, and I just want to tell you we feel blessed that you are there every day to work with the students in BISD, and I hope you have a fantastic summer. As always, if you need anything, please let me know. Thank you.